Hey everybody, wanted to provide a somewhat quick update to the final game that I broadcast today between the Quinte West Golden Hawks and the Ajax Pickering Raiders. Walking into this game and in the broadcast, I said it was a win, tie, or go home game for the Golden Hawks. And I was did a little bit of my math calculations wrong here in the fact that I didn't realize that the tiebreaker scenarios actually went 8 layers deep. Walking in there, if I knew if Quinny won, they would earn themselves enough points to put them clearly in the fourth place position. If they tied the game with Ajax, then they would uh, clearly have enough points to put themselves into the fourth place position. But I assumed if they lost to Ajax, they would lose the tiebreaker in the head-to-head battle. However, I pulled up the tiebreak rules after talking to our team manager Jesse and found out some interesting stuff. So as you can see, this is the final rankings. Whitby Wildcats with 7 points are the first place team. The Oshawa Generals with 6 points are the second place team. The Belleville Bulls with 5 are the third place team. And the Quinte West Golden Hawks with 2 are the fourth place team. And it all boils down to how this tiebreaker rolled out. So essentially, walking into that game, we knew North Durham had 2 points because they had tied with the Oshawa Generals just before that. So Quinte West now was tied with North Durham in this regard. Each team walking into that final game with 2 points, where Ajax had 0 points because they hadn't yet netted a win. They were 0-3 walking into that final game. Now, because Ajax won, we look at how these tiebreaker rules come into play. So essentially, we walk down the path and we see that tiebreaker rule number one: the most points. You get 2 for a win, 1 for a tie, and 0 for a loss. Obviously, these teams are all tied in terms of most points, so it's 2, 2, and 2. Three-way tie still exists after rule number one. We go to rule number two, and this is where, again, I thought Ajax had already eliminated Quinte by getting that win in the final game. But the winner of the head-to-head game only applies if only two teams are tied. So because North Durham tied with Oshawa and got that extra point, they created the three-way tie. So that means after rule break number two, the three-way tie still exists because the head-to-head games are no longer a factor. Then it goes to most wins. So Quinte with 1 win, Ajax with 1 win, and North Durham with 0. That is the spot where North Durham was eliminated from the tiebreaker, and it was now down to Quinte West versus Ajax Pickering to determine who would be moving forward into that fourth place. And that's where the next category, number 4, became super important. So in this category, you take the total goals scored in the game divided by, or sorry, the total goals scored by the team divided by goals for plus goals against. So you take whatever your team scored divided by the goals for and the goals against, which essentially all the goals scored in the game, and then you are given a goals for percentage, and then the highest percentage would win that tiebreaker. So what happened here, and as you can see, total goals for the Quinte West Golden Hawks in the total goals for were 10. And then you take and divide that by 20. So 10 divided by 20 is 50%. And that's where Quinte West ended in terms of this category of the tie. Now you take goals for Ajax at 13 and you divide that by the full 33 goals, and their percentage becomes 39%. So Quinte West Golden Hawks won the tiebreaker at the fourth level of the tiebreaker. And that is how they ended up as the fourth place team and will be playing in the semifinals tomorrow against the Whitby Wildcats. Pretty crazy to see how far these tournament teams and these tournament directors think. This actually goes 8 layers deep, which fortunately for the Golden Hawks didn't have to happen. They still would have won the fifth tiebreaker against um, Ajax because they only had 10 goals against, where Ajax had 20 goals against. If it got to that part where it was tied, this is crazy. Fewest penalty minutes in all games played becomes a factor. So some kids may not realize how their play out on the ice could impact the team's performance in a tiebreaker scenario. I thought that was interesting. And then number 7, the team that scored the earliest goal in their round robin game involving the tied team. So they would have, if they would have got to the 7th, it would have been Quinte versus Ajax versus North Durham. And whoever scored the earliest goal in the round robin game would be the team that moves on. And then the last part, if there was still a tie at that point, which seems super far fetched, it would be a coin flip. The team from farthest away calls the flip, and the winner of the flip gets the higher position. Thankfully for the Golden Hawks, they played well enough in their earlier game today against North Durham, and they were able to get those additional points where they scored 6 goals in that game. Prior to that, they had only scored 1, and then they scored 3 in the final game to give them that goals for percentage advantage in here. And so, crazy story, exciting times for these young Golden Hawks players, and they're going to get a chance to go into the semifinals tomorrow and play again against the Whitby Wildcats, who they had a 1-point loss to yesterday. And Whitby's a tough team. The Golden Hawks have been playing tough this weekend, and I think it's going to turn into a good game. Hopefully, you'll be able to tune in. Again, I'll put the broadcast notes out there. We'll start at 10:30, maybe 10 minutes before, as this tournament has been ahead of schedule most of the time. But feel free to tune in and cheer these young players along in their journey. Thanks for all your support throughout the season, and we will see you tomorrow morning in the 1v4 game. Thanks again. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and let's go Hawks go.